Everyone, and welcome to Everything Psychic with Gayle and Mary. I'm Reverend Mary Hawk, and today our special guest is Jules of Finding Jules. How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, thank you. And Jules is going to talk to us about tea leaf reading. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into tea leaf reading?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. So, I am an oracle card reader by trade. That's what I predominantly do. And I love to work with historical homes and historic societies. So, I have a full costume and a huge get out where I dress up as a person in mourning from the Victorian era. And
Ooh,
tea goes with that. So I just kind of started dabbling with it, and it made so much
mhm.
sense. And it felt so comforting that I just continued with it. So I've been reading tea leaves professionally now for about 6 years.
Okay. That is a very interesting story, and I did not know you were a Victorian reenactor. And I just want
Reenactor is very generous, but thank you.
to say hello to everyone who is joining us. And we've got Kenner and Cheryl saying hello.
Yeah.
If you are
Hi,
watching
Cheryl.
us, Facebook, YouTube, social media, please go ahead and say hi. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and post them. As you can see, I am drinking a cup of tea, and I'm going to take a picture of my tea leaves and I'll post that so Jules can have a look at them.
Yeah.
Hello, Heather. Thank you all for joining us. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you read tea leaves? And we got a question from Kenner.
Yeah. So Connor's asking, is there any particular kind of tea that's best for tea leaf readings? And honestly, it should be about what you're enjoying. So, for example, if these style of tea bags, it has a very fine powdered tea in them. If that's all you have available, you can use it. I would recommend using one tea bag and then using another one. Open it up and you just cut the tip off of this side and pour a little bit into your cup. And when I say a little bit, I mean, oh, maybe half of a teaspoon. It's going to be a small amount for this style of tea. But you can use pretty much anything that you enjoy. I use what's called gunpowder green leaf tea. And I'm going to show it to you as best as I can on camera. But what it is, it's these really compacted little
Mm-hmm.
pebbles. And they're super compacted green tea. And what happens is when you steep it with your hot water, it blooms or it steeps for only about a minute. And while it's blooming, it unfurls and creates these really beautiful long strands of tea leaves. So while I have
Ooh.
that one going, we'll talk a little bit more about some teas that Connor was asking about. So if you love herbal infusions, like using lavender and chamomile and things like that, those are all great. I would recommend staying away from the super large flowers like chamomile, because whenever you have that in your teacup, when you're looking at it and you're trying to let your imagination go, whenever you have something that large, it's just going to look like a flower no matter what. But lavender you can use, catnip, depending on your health and what you're looking for, there are so many different herbal remedies that you can put towards it and lots of different books that you can use as well. So when you're doing this, what you'll do is you'll drink your tea until it's almost gone. You want about a tablespoon, no more than a tablespoon of liquid, okay? And
Drink a little more then.
let's preface this by saying, too, this is how I read. Everyone's a little different. And what's so nice about tea leaf reading is that You create your own ceremony, your own ritual for it. You're the one who gets to create this bond, and the bond is to your higher self or your higher being, whatever you connect with. So you get to kind of create the rules. I'm just giving you a basic guideline so you kind of know where to start. I love using kind of like traditional teacups. They're a little short in stature. They have curved walls. I feel like the tea really sticks well to the walls.
Mm-hmm.
I have one over here that's steeping away. Let me see here. If I can show you how the tea leaf looks after it's steeped for about a minute.
All right. I'm going to take a picture of this. Now that I get a light on it, I can see I need to drink a little bit more.
So that's what the tea leaf looks like after it unfurls and blooms. And while you're drinking your tea, you are going to get tea leaves in your mouth. That's just part of the game. You can eat it, you can chew it, you can spit it out, you can do whatever you want with it. It's not going to affect your reading in any which way. So, yeah, you can kind of do what you like with it. I am going to put some ice cubes into my teacup here so I can cool it down so I can drink it faster. On these hot days like this, it's also a nice idea to have a little bit cooler tea so that you're not boiling from the outside temperatures and from drinking some hot tea. When you're doing this, you kind of want to go into like a meditative state. So you'll want to center yourself, take a nice cleansing breath, and ground yourself. And then while you're drinking your tea, you can ask internally or to your higher power, whatever it is you believe in, give me guidance and help me seek whatever messages come through. And then you enjoy the tea at your leisure. Mary, did you end up doing yours?
I am getting my picture pulled up here so I can share it, and then you can tell me if it's good or not. And hello to Maura and Brian.
Hi, guys.
Okay, let's see here. Is this? Yeah. Give me just a second, and I'm going to share this picture.
You're doing that, and I'm trying to chug this tea. You'll want to make sure, too, that when you have your setup, you have some nearby paper towels. A saucer does help so that you hold your towel in place, because the way I like to do it is I'll pour out any remaining liquid. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
So how is that?
So I see you have some liquid in your cup. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to take your cup and you're going to kind of rotate it so that the liquid's kind of going around in a circle in your cup. And you can do this. I like to do it about 10 times. Okay. You're going to do it until you get a good feel. What we're doing here is we're putting some additional energy into the cup, and we're just kind of infusing it with more of our intentions when we swirl it around. And then whenever you get to your point where you feel like it's a natural stopping point where you want to take a second and not swirl anymore, we'll start the pouring process. And I'm going to finish my tea real quick so I can show you that. It's a lot easier to see it than it is to kind of explain it. So give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So you'll want, like I said, about a tablespoon of liquid inside. And so you're going to rotate your tea leaves around. And then what I like to do is I start at the handle and I pour it over. Let's see here. I pour it so that it's coming out to the edge right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I make a nice little trickle or stream, and I try to keep the stream continuously flowing as I circle around the cup. So I'm rotating the cup. I'm pouring the liquid, and I'm trying to end back where I started at the handle.
Okay, so let me get my paper towel here. All right, so I'm going to fold a paper towel in about 4, I think. And then I'm going to start at the handle and rotate around, gently pouring, right?
That is correct.
Pouring off the liquid.
Right, so you'll start there. And the liquid will start to come out over the edge, and you'll just keep rotating a nice steady pace. You can go as slow as you need to. It's not a race.
Okay, and I really can't get the camera on the laptop to
That's
show.
okay. I have mine.
All right, so no, there's still a little more liquid in there. And I lost a couple of tea leaves, but I guess I was supposed to.
Yep. That's exactly right.
All right, now what do you need another picture?
Sure, that would be helpful.
Because now I've got it, a lot of it's on the side of the cup.
Correct, exactly. So I'm going to show you guys my quick guide, I suppose, to how I read my leaves. Let me get my pen. Okay. So the rim of the cup is closest to right now. It's the most current stuff that you'll be experiencing or that you may be facing, okay? The further into the cup you go, yeah, the further into the cup you go, the further into the future. So down here at the center is about 6 months into the future. So if this is current and this is 6 months, this is about 1 month from now, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay? When I read tea leaves, for me, the handle represents whoever is drinking the tea. So in this case, this represents me. And if you look in my teacup, where my handle is, I'm looking right in here. And look at all this stuff. It really bunched up on my handle. I have a whole lot of things that are affecting me directly. So my handle will make an imaginary line. This is all kind of stuff that's affecting me on a personal level, while everything else are messages from outside forces, spirit guides, people that I need to pay attention to, anything like that. Another thing that we need to keep in mind when we're doing this is that as humans, we naturally want to find shapes and patterns and things. That's just what we do. Like when you're a little kid, oh, Connor, yeah, I do see the smiley face now. I, and a little smile right there. It looks like it got some big old lips on her. Nice. But as people, as humans, what we want to do is we want to find patterns naturally. So just like when you were a little kid and you would look up into the sky and look at clouds and you'd find zebras and elephants, well, that's what we're doing with our tea leaves. And we're not questioning what we find. We're going to take every symbol that we see, no matter how silly it seems or how random it is, and we're going to write it down. Our job when we are reading our tea leaves, our first job before everything is to just accept the symbols as they come. You interpret them later on after you've given your spiritual body a chance to kind of settle back down. Then you'll start to interpret things.
Okay. So I can show you my cup now if you would like to see it.
Wonderful. I would love to see it.
All right, here we go.
Okay. All right. So, like I see on the left side, you have like a little bit of a squiggly patch. And to me,
Yeah.
that looks like one of those dragons that you would see possibly in China. It could be a serpent. And it
Mm-hmm.
looks like it has something almost going through its head. So it looks a little bit like a sword. So I'm wondering if, let's see, counting from the rim, 1, 2, 3. So in about 3 to 4 months, it's almost like battling with your inner wisdom and with your desire to keep strong and making sure that you have everything in place. There's going to be a time here where your body instinctually is going to want to tell you to combat this, but you're not going to be able to. You're going to have to stand your ground and just be strong and kind of defend it on a more physical level as opposed to a wisdom level, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I also, yeah, Joshua, you got a good point. She does have some on the right side. You have like these little stepping blocks. And I guess I should point this out too. Everyone is going to see things differently. There is no right or wrong interpretation of this because everyone's going to have different images meaning different things. We're essentially just giving our intuition the permission it needs to use whatever it needs to figure out what's going on. I feel like as people, a lot of times we are told not to trust our intuition. And so, what I love about tea leaves is that we're stepping back into that acceptance. We're allowing ourselves to be creative, and then we're allowing that creativity to connect us to something a more spiritual and to give us a little bit more meaning. So, there might be someone who sees divided walls. There might be stepping stones. I also see a lot of things in negative space and with shadows. So those give me a lot of messages as well. Like right now, the way your cup looks, Mary, there is a shadowy image on the bottom of it. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that looks like it's reminding me, I should say, of someone who's kind of watching over things. And they look like they're watching over the tiniest little heart at the bottom of your cup. And so for me, I would interpret that as a possible spirit guide who is going to be making themselves a little bit more well known in the near, I would say, 5 months or so about how you should proceed so that you are making sure that you're taking care of yourself and that you're not extending yourself too far and that you're allowing yourself to feel the joy and the happiness that's around you. So with mine, because of the type of tea that I used, I have a bunch of stuff in here. So we're going to start with my handle. Here we go. So on my handle, let's see, we'll go to the comment section. What's the first thing that you guys see whenever you're looking in here?
We're going to take mine off and
I'm going to rotate it around and kind of give you guys different viewpoints and vantages. I see something right over here. So this looks like some type of beast, but it's definitely giving me like Beauty and the Beast vibes, which is funny because whenever I see images that remind me of childhood, it tells me that there is something about my inner child that I am neglecting in the moment. And so it's pretty close to my personal handle. So I would say, oh, look at that. And I see little lobster claws down here. And do you see this squiggly bit? It reminds me of a mermaid. So a lot of the times when I see stuff in my cups or with the clients that I work with, it's not so much what I'm actually seeing. Sometimes it's about how it makes me feel. Oh, look at this. I don't know if you guys can see this. You know what this is reminding me of? It reminds me of the Trojan horse. So there's the head of the horse. Oops, I just knocked somebody over. But there's the back leg, front, there's the body. And when I look at it, it's just reminding me of a Trojan horse. You see a little butterfly up here near the top? Let's see. Oh, there's a little snake down here, and he's going towards something. It could be a fish, possibly. What else? This almost looks like the state of Texas, not gonna lie. So what I would do, though, is I would write down all of these different signs or symbols that I'm seeing. And then once I feel like I've come to my natural conclusion, I would go back to my notes and I would look them over. And this is a great time to utilize reference material that you have, your favorite reference books. You can even go, one of my favorite websites is called dreammoods.com. I think a poop ton of us probably already use it. But I love their, yeah, I would agree. But I love their almost like a dictionary style. You can search up whatever words, and then they give you a pretty good overview of what it could possibly mean. And once again, when it comes to meaning things, you may have your own definition of something, and that is perfectly fine. There was at one point I was reading for a client, and I saw the Mandalorian in her cup. Now, realistically, that's not going to be on any website, but for me, the Mandalorian meant this fatherly figure, this protection, someone who was coming to aid. And it ended up working. It made sense to her in the reading once I disclosed that information. But I got to tell you, it had me questioning a few things when I wrote down Mandalorian, because sometimes I'll say them out loud and the people on the other side of the table just stare at me and they're like, what? And that's okay. A lot of this stuff isn't supposed to make sense until we give it the story and the meaning behind it. And that's what happens with a lot of divination, whether it be wax or fire or tea leaf or whatever you're into. A lot of it is about how we make it make sense and how we use our intuition to create that story so that it helps us or helps the person that we're with. So let's check into the comments here and see what you guys are saying.
Okay, let's see. Jesse saw the horse. Someone saw Mother Earth. Let me scroll back up a little. Joshua saw Mother Earth in your reading. So did Connor. Jesse saw the horse.
Nice.
Liliana Conley saw the snake. And Joshua says almost an inner type sinkhole where life is reborn in destruction.
Yeah. And you know what? For my reading, that's not too far off. I am the type of person who tears a lot of things down so that I can redo them. So that is part of my evolution that I'm going through right now, is I am in the process of evolving in a different way again. So that's pretty spot on. And I'm happy to see that people saw different images in there. Mother Earth, to me, that is, I need to find my connection to her again. I've been trying to get out and hike more often. So her calling to me, she's been calling to me on multiple different levels. And like any other person, sometimes I just don't want to hear it right now. But it doesn't surprise me at all that she came through in my leaves. Mary, when you look at your cup, what do you get a feel, or what images do you see?
Let me get my desk lamp on it. let's see here. And right up on the rim, it didn't come through on the picture, but I've got one leaf that's kind of oblong shaped. It's catching my eye and I'm not interpreting it right now. We'll come back to it.
Okay, I'm going to write it down. Is it coming out of the cup or is it just by the rim?
Let me see if I can get it on the camera.
Okay, I see it. All right, we're going to make a note of that.
Okay, and then I'm looking at what you were interpreting as a dragon, and I've got a different perspective not being in a picture. And I am seeing it's got different colors from the different elements in the herbal tea I was drinking. I'm going to say it looks like it's weaving disparate elements together.
Okay.
And then I do have the 3 that look like stepping stones almost directly across from it. And down at the bottom, the 1 larger piece and the 2 smaller ones that are making a triangle.
Okay. So how I would interpret that, with us not knowing about that oblong shape, it did feel like it was pointed downwards, though, like it was coming to you. It doesn't feel like it's leaving. It feels like it's coming to. So we would have to do a little bit of searching on the whole oblong thing, or maybe give it a little bit more time to reveal itself. But you said that with what I interpreted as the dragon, you interpreted as, you said it was like multiple.
I'm seeing multiple shapes and colors from the different types of tea. It's a mix I had an herbalist make for me for migraines.
Okay. And whenever you're looking at that grouping, is it making you feel any particular thing or remember anything?
No, well, when I look at it, what's coming to me is just the idea of bringing several different things together to make a whole out of them.
Okay. All right. And then we had the stepping stones. Okay. I feel like I'm missing something too that was near the bottom.
There's the triangle at the bottom.
Triangle, that's what it was. Okay. All right, thank you. So just off the seat of my pants, how I would interpret this is that you are bringing forward a whole bunch of different things. You have all these different ideas, and they're kind of combining to create this cohesive thing. And I feel like there are going to be a lot of missing, I'm sorry, not a lot of missing parts, but a lot of stepping stones, a lot of pieces that you have to put in place before this is going to be smooth and make sense for everyone involved. I also feel like with the triangle, we're talking about harnessing your own personal wisdom, whether that be from like the support system around you, like your closest feminine, energetic people, or if this is something that you are asking Goddess to bestow upon you. But triangles always remind me of the cone of power. And it's always reminded me of a lot of strength and a lot of stability. So I would interpret that as, if you want to make these things more cohesive, these goals more real, you're going to have to depend on the people around you to really lend their energy and their knowledge to help make these parts come together. And the triangle being 6 months down the road, or at least further into the cups, It's saying, in my opinion, that further into the future, once you've gotten settled, that's when you're going to have to depend on people. So maybe it's depending on people to help spread the word and to get that information and knowledge out there.
That makes
Off the
an,
cuff.
that makes an awful lot of sense because we are working on growing Pagan World TV.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
And
Feeling mom
Joshua's
energy. Yeah.
mom energy. I have mom or grandma energy.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I am one of those people who, if spirit comes to me, I'll let you know that someone is sitting with me, but I make no assumptions. I'm just like, hey, this is the vibe I get off of it, but you have to interpret it to your greatest ability as well, because I do not know you. I know nothing about your life, and you're the one who has to live with the consequences of whatever knowledge you fall upon. So, swirling like the cosmics, yeah. Joshua's got some good feedback in there.
it may be a motherly spirit guide, but it would not be my mom.
I definitely, for me, it feels like more people on this particular plane. Like I'm reaching out to the people that I know and trust and can depend on here. This, for me, I feel like your cup is less about spiritual influence and more about outside influence of the people that you relate to. I feel like with my cup, I feel like there's a lot of spiritual influence, and I feel like there's a lot of signs outside of me that's coming in, and like normal, I ignore them. So I'm very hard-headed. Universe knows this. They're fine with it. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, it very well could have been about reassurance. That's
It
a great
definitely
interpretation.
could be about reassurance. One of my grandmothers.
So in
Yeah.
general, though, the tea leaves are really fun, and they leave a lot open to however you need to interpret them. And the more you do them, the easier it gets. You are training your mind and your body to be more in touch with your intuition, and you're training your mind to be more open to the things as they come through. And I recently started getting into human design, and all sorts of different things, and dimensional theories and stuff. But a lot of things that I had just been doing are starting to make more sense because now I have a definition or an idea behind it. So I'm one of those people who tries really hard to just go with my gut. And I don't really want to question what my gut tells me, what my intuition tells me. So tea leaf has been really, really helpful exploring my intuition, understanding it, and giving me the permission that I needed to just let the messages flow. And I swear, once you start allowing the messages to come through, they kind of don't stop. Like, universe is constantly trying to talk to us. Our ancestors are always trying to tell us something. So if we're open to it, I definitely do believe that you can gather some really good information from this type of divination style, or, like we said before, mirrors and wax and everything else. It's just up to your comfort level.
Right.
Does anybody have any questions in the chat?
So, anybody in the chat have any questions or comments for Jules?
Let's see. Give you guys a couple minutes here.
Joshua, thank you for sharing the feed.
Hmm. Okay, all right. Let me do that.
And Connor has really appreciated it. We have had a little technical issue, and Jules will be right back. So please stay with us. Meanwhile, thank you so much for joining us on Everything Psychic with Mary and Gayle. And thank you, Jules.
Jesse, so yeah, you can use whatever kind of tea you're really comfortable with. I use what's called a gunpowder green leaf tea. It looks like little pebbles. It's highly compressed green leaf, very mild in flavor. But you can really use whatever you want, even if it's the really super fine powder tea. You can use that. I would recommend if you're going to use a traditional American style tea like this, you have one bag that's whole, and then you have another bag, and what you would do is you would clip off the end, pour a little bit into your cup so you have something to read. And when I say a little bit, I mean, we're not talking much. Maybe a teaspoon, half a teaspoon. You don't need a whole lot. It's just at your preference. So you need the loose tea to actually read something. If you're going for flavor, you put in the extra tea bag and then you steep. If you do herbal blends or mixes, I would stay away from anything that has really large flower buds like chamomile, because when you're reading your tea leaves, a lot of the time your brain just goes, that's a big flower. That's all I see. It's a big flower. But I think that catnip, lavender, mugwort, anything like that would be perfectly fine. That's a great question, though. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
Yes, Jesse, thank you. And I was reading with herbal tea with several different components.
Mm-hmm. I love tea. I love making it. I love creating my own little recipes. The gunpowder green leaf, you get a massive amount for like $10 on Amazon. It lasts you a long time. And it's super mild in flavor. So even people who aren't really into tea, they still enjoy it for the most part. You can also use honey and things like that in your tea. Just keep in mind the honey is going to create a stickiness with your leaves. I personally don't find it beneficial to help me with reading. But if you just love honey in your tea, I think you should have an enjoyable experience with it. So use it. Find something that you really love and kind of create your own ritual with it.
And we got a question from Julie.
And from Connor as well. So yeah, Connor, but once again, like I feel like you can use coffee for sure. You can also use unfiltered wine that has sediment in the bottom of it. It's a little hard to come by unless you're making it yourself. But you can use a lot of different things. With the coffee, make sure that you have it ground up pretty fine. And I mean, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. So no problem. It can be other herbs, yeah. So you don't just have to use black tea or green tea. What is going with this? Let's see here. You can use whatever herbs you really connect to. I keep getting a reloading issue on my stuff too.
Okay, you are coming through clear right now.
Okay. All right. So I can't see the chat anymore.
All right. The last comment we have is from Jesse. Awesome. Thank you. I just got a mortar and pestle. Could I mash down herbal teas to create it's a leaf mix?
That is a good question. So Whenever you're using a mortar and pestle, you're essentially grinding everything up and you're releasing the oils. Um, you can grind it too much and it then become too much of a powder, and it's probably going to be a little bit harder for you to enjoy that and drink it just because you're going to be ingesting quite a bit of it. I would definitely say you can experiment though, because nothing bad is going to happen if you experiment and you're smart and you use your knowledge and resource guides. So if you want to play around with that and see if crunching it up and making a witchy mixture helps you, definitely experiment with it and try it.
Which reminds me of the advice you must always have two mortar and pestles, one for the kitchen and one for the spell.
Yes, I I learned that the hard way. I was making some black salt and I only had one that I had used in my kitchen for years. And now it's officially in my working space because there's all sorts of different ash and everything else in it now.
Yes, and we have a comment from Joshua. Celery leaves work too for interpretation.
That's really cool. I had never thought about that. Thank you. I'm going to have to write that down.
I'm not sure if I want to drink celery tea.
True. It might, but you know what? I've always been fascinated with the idea too that different teas are going to give you different types of readings. So I wonder if celery could be used to give you like what you need to cleanse out of your life. So like how tarot has different styles of putting down your cards, you know, you can lay out the Celtic cross, you can focus on past, present, future. I've always wanted to tinker with the idea of using different tea types to interpret specific information, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Let's see. Joshua says, I resource both. Julie says, mugwort tea might help you connect with spirit easier.
Yeah, it very well could. You can also use essential oils and things like that if that's something that you want to get into, as long as they are of appropriate food grade. But yeah, that's, I think, what makes the ritual of tea so nice is that it is so customizable and it is so open for experimentation. I know that we have a lot of people who want to stick with the whole, it's traditional ideas, but guess what? You can do whatever you want. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Nothing bad is going to happen because you drink tea a different way. You are okay.
And whatever a tradition is, excuse me, somebody did it first.
Oh, yes. Somebody experimented first and created that and decided that they wanted to make that part of their everyday thing. And so you're just creating your own tradition whenever you experiment and add different things and figure out what your ritual is. Do we have any other questions or anything else that we'd like to cover?
Yeah. Anything else anybody has a question about? Oh, and here is our co-host, Gayle. Hi, Gayle.
I'm so sorry, you guys. You don't want to hear all the gory details. It has been a day.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's nice to see you.
It is nice to see you. I have been looking forward to learning about sleeves. So I am so sorry that I missed the first part of this.
It is okay. We're kind of wrapping up with questions right now, and people are just kind of asking their questions about tea types and how they can create their own ritual with tea. And so, yeah, we're going over things like that.
We got a couple more comments. Joshua says tea is forever and listen to the leaves. Julie says, what's a good reference source for imagery meanings?
So I really like dreammoods.com. That's easy, fast. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to go and order anything off of Amazon. I really like that one. It's very easily accessible. There are a lot of different symbolism books that you can find through Amazon or through your favorite pagan book dealer or whoever you want to go through. And they have a multitude of resources that you can go through. In the end, I would definitely recommend that you look at the meaning that you're given and you ask yourself, okay, does that resonate with me? Because when I see a fox, that's going to mean something to me. It might be very different to you, and it could be extremely different from what you find in a resource material. So in the end, we're kind of taking knowledge from everyone else, and then we're putting it to our own personal experience and creating what we feel is best.
Absolutely. And I mean, we do that with all sorts of things. We do that with color magic. You know, a particular color, you may identify something totally different. You know,
Exactly.
some people see red as love, and a lot of other people see it as anger. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I see love as passion. That tells me that there's a lot of fiery energy that I need to move through and put it to a good use.
Mhm.
So, yeah, everyone's so different.
Yeah, so the same with symbolism. I haven't done any tea leaf reading, but a lot of the vendors at my fair have tea. And tea is really an up and coming thing for a lot of things, for medicinal purposes,
Mhm.
organic purposes, and now for reading. So,
Well, it's funny because, tea has been around forever. It's been around a long time. And in the Victorian era, tea leaves were really, really popular. They came over from China. The taxes were different on it. So it was really accessible for people to use it. And spiritualism, Victorian spiritualism, was at its height. Okay, so everyone was looking to connect to their loved ones because everyone was kind of dying. Children were dying of plagues and fevers and everything else. Loved ones were dying at war. So people just really wanted to connect. And tea made that affordable and possible. And it also gave them a way to do it on their own. So they didn't constantly have to go to a spiritualist to get those answers that they wanted. They went one time, they figured out how it worked, and then they would start to try to commune with their loved ones at home. And that's what made tea leaf so nice and amazing. And like with everything else, it went out of style and then it's slowly coming back in. And I've been lucky enough to meet 2 other tea leaf readers. Whenever I go out to events and stuff, I've met 2 really awesome readers, and their styles are vastly different than mine because, once again, they've created their own ritual for it. So it's slowly coming back into frame. And it's really lovely to see because it is such a wonderful and connective process and thing that you get to go through. It's very soothing to me. And I feel like it's soothing for most people who participate in it as well.
well, you said something really, a lot of important things. But one of the things is so many people were passing,
Mm-hmm.
at that turn of the century. And I don't know about you guys, but right now there is a lot of people that are crossing over.
Oh, yes.
That
There are.
I think more so than ever before. That we're not really talking about this publicly, but there's all sorts of people crossing over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of energy shift and changes going through right now. And I
Mhm.
know it's kind of just what happens whenever everything evolves and continues forward. But yeah, I think that people are just as curious and wanting answers now as we've ever been as a species.
Absolutely, and it's like you said, different things cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Things that were very common, and then they sort of fade away, and then here they come again. I call it making the old ways new.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We see it in fashion. We see it in education. We see it in everything from Hollywood to the spiritual side. It just happens.
Somebody
Yeah.
said that your granny used to read tea leaves. Joshua said
Awesome.
that.
Yeah.
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 he seems like he's been having a lot of really nice insight and input to the conversation. So I do appreciate his perspective for tonight. It's been very nice.
Well,
And
the
hello,
thing of it
Ward.
is,
Thank you for joining us.
yes,
Yeah.
I think the thing of it is sometimes we remember things that the old people did and we didn't pay attention to them whenever we were young. And then all
Mhm.
of a sudden, years later, it's like,
Yeah.
and he probably knows way more about it than he thinks that he did.
Yeah, he seems pretty knowledgeable and pretty in tuned. But yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of have that. I almost want to say it's an innate ability to connect. All we have to do is kind of open the door just a little bit. And then those memories come flooding back, and those experiences come back, and what we saw grandma and mom do, and what we heard talks about. And
Mhm.
so it all comes full circle.
What you read
Oh,
a long time ago, and all of a sudden it clicks.
Mm-hmm.
right. Thank you, Joshua. He says we are all delightful.
Thank you. I am so sorry I was late tonight, Joshua.
Stuff
Uh,
happens.
it does. It does. Life really does happen, and that's what you're saying about the tea leaves. You can invent your own little ritual
Mm-hmm.
to help deal with.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the morning or at night or just when you need it, you get to create the ritual that helps you feel more connected and in tune. And in the end, it's all about connection. That's really what this is. It's about connection to ourselves, to our highest divine being, to whatever it is we believe in. That's what this is about.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's what Mary and I have talked about a lot with everything psychic. Everybody has a different way of using their intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
all
You
do.
know? And so it's a matter of how you tune yours in. Um, I've known people that cards just they don't speak to them. Cards speak to me.
Right.
He speaks to you. Numbers speak to Mary.
Yes, I'm a numerologist.
Oh, so
Yes.
you're left-sided brain too, then.
Mhm.
Yes. And I am going to make a blatant plug here. Join us at pagan.world. Sign up for your free membership. And starting September the 6th, we will be opening Psychic Academy. And you can go ahead and join for a 1 year membership for $29 and a lifetime membership for $99 at
Wow.
psychicacademy.co. Brought to you from the creators of Witch School.
That's really cool.
That is an amazing deal because the thing of it is for people who do sign up for the lifetime one, this is not just something like you take a couple of classes and you're done.
No, no.
Are
We
you
will be
ever done
offering
learning more about tea leaves?
uh, tea leaves, psychic self defense. Lord Don has been posting all kinds of teasers about the first course he's designing.
Hmm.
That's
But
amazing.
I know that I have never quit learning about cards. There's
No,
always new things to
Oh,
learn.
yeah,
Always.
for
yes,
sure.
there always are.
I think
Well,
that's part of being pagan.
Yes,
I would agree with that. Like, it takes a particular kind of person to be pagan. I feel like a lot of us have to have a certain type of drive and a certain desire to learn more than just what's in front of us.
yes, yes. We're always growing and learning.
Well,
Always growing and learning.
before we get to the end here, I do want to say thank you to the people in my group and into my family and my circle who came into the chat and participated. I do appreciate you guys being here and supporting me and supporting Pagan World TV and everything else. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching and participating. And Jules, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Honestly, the best way is to just go straight to my website. It's fjpsychic.com. And from there, you can email me, you can call me directly, you can look at our blog, and you can find everything else that we're up to.
And that was fjpsychic.com.
Yes, ma'am. You got it.
fjpsychic.com. All right. I just put that out into the chat.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank these two lovely ladies for putting up with me, and apologize to all of you guys that life was happening to me today.
I know from my perspective, you are perfectly awesome, and I'm just glad that I got to meet you. No matter how much or how little time we have, I'm glad that you're here and you're safe. And
where are you at, Jules? What part of the country are you in?
So I'm actually really close to St. Louis, Missouri. But I travel to KC pretty frequently, and so I like to say have cards will travel. I'm actually headed there next weekend for a private party that I'll be working at. So I go all over the place.
Mm-hmm. I'm all the way.
It's been great to meet you. You have a blessed weekend. We do everything psychic 2 Fridays a month, although I am in transition all of next month, so I'm not sure how we're going to schedule this yet.
No, we will have to figure that out. It has been somewhat crazy. Mary is actually moving.
It's exciting, though.
It's very exciting. I'm just not sure where I will be any Friday.
Universe is keeping you on your toes. That's for sure.
Yes. All the stepping stones we saw in my cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. That is very true of you right now. I can see that.
Yes.
Well, thank you both for having me on here. I do appreciate it. I love being a part of this, and I look forward to hopefully working with you guys again. It's been great.
We would love to have you again anytime, Jules. Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone who's been watching and commenting. And this is Mary Hawk.
And I'm Jules.
And I'm Gayle Tracy Mull. And thank you for tuning in with us and Everything Psychic.
And blessed be, everyone.
Blessed be. Bye.
Bye.